All right, I'm here with Adam, who has just procured a Tom Brady rookie card.
Absolutely.
Just days after him announcing his retirement. Apparently today he filed paperwork with the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Today is, February 11th as we're recording this. And you found a Tom Brady rookie card at a glorified flea market. How are you feeling right now?
I feel on top of the world. I probably should have procured it like 2 days before he retired. That would have been a financially wise move.
Well, maybe this guy didn't change the price.
He didn't.
From last week.
That's exactly what it is. So we went to Booth's Corner. It's open on the weekends. It's like an Amish flea market type thing.
Sure.
Farmer's market, flea market. And there was just a sports card place there. And I start looking through all these graded cards. And there is a graded 10 Tom Brady rookie. It's $60. I'm like, there's no Tom Brady rookie cards for $60. I look it up on eBay, and guess what? There are no Tom Brady rookie cards for $60. So I snatched that thing up. It's an investment. My children will pass it to my grandchildren. You understand? It's been a big day for me. Honestly,
That's huge.
Honestly,
That's huge.
it's Fleer. It is Fleer.
Okay.
It's Fleer.
Yeah.
But it's a 10 Fleer, and it's a Tom Brady Fleer. It's a rookie card. The little description on the back, it's like talking about Tom Brady, about like how he has no. It's like he beats teams with his brain more than his arm. Like, and they don't know anything about him, so they don't know. That's what's fun about the rookie card.
I'm excited for you. That thing.
I talked for 10 minutes about you. You gave me a tiny window. I talked for 10 minutes about that thing. I'm that excited about this card.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about the rest of this conversation in our spin-off sports card podcast. But
right.
We are here to talk golf. We're here to talk about the 2023 season, which kind of already started for us. We played a couple of rounds in Florida last month and got out for 9 holes 2 days ago. Or yesterday? Yesterday.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
I think it was 2 days ago.
It was glorious. Doesn't matter. It was glorious. It was a glorious, slightly chilly, drizzly 9 holes that we played in about an hour and a half, and it gave me great hope. I don't know how you felt coming out of it.
It made me wonder why we haven't done this all winter. You know, we got...
True.
It was like 48 degrees, a little drizzly, a little cloudy, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Was it quite a midsummer round? No. But we had a great time. It was... And we weirdly played great.
We did.
We played great. You played great. I played great. We both felt good coming off the course. Why haven't we been doing this?
I don't know. It's a good question, but we're going to be a forward-looking show. We're not going to beat ourselves up. We both shot...
I'm going to look into the past, and I'm going to read it.
Both shot 36. Both shot 1 over. I had a birdie, 2 bogeys. You had 2 birdies to start, and then 3 bogeys. But...
2 under through 2, 1 over through 9. Don't love that, but...
Is this how do you usually start the season? Let's start there. How do you usually start a season? Are you I get so much rust at the beginning, or you are, oh no, my mind is clear, when I come out, I'm on fire, and then it ends up catching up with me? Like, how do you usually start the year?
I'm the type of person who I think... Every time I go out at the beginning of the year, I believe that I've forgotten how to golf entirely. So I'm not a very technical thinker when it comes to golf. I joke that I'm a feel player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about swing thoughts. So honestly, I stand over the ball and I'm like, well, I could miss this thing. The first swing, I might just miss.
Yeah.
And then I hit a few shots and I'm like, all right, well, no, actually, this is about how I golf. This is about what I remember. And then it builds slowly. So I go from being a little rusty to feeling better and better, and then it usually plateaus at a certain point. Like sometimes I feel like my best golf of the year is my 5th round. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. I would be curious if the data backs that up, but if that's the way you feel, you are a field player.
I don't think it probably does, but that's how it feels. Where it's like I feel like I plateau hard, I rise, and then I'm done improving for a while. What about you? Do you feel good at the beginning of the year? How do you feel when you haven't played in a while?
I feel like, so I've only been playing what I would call a lot of golf, like the last 5 years, maybe 5 or 6 years. And I feel like my pattern is that I play my best golf at the end of the year, and I'm sure the numbers would back this up, that end of June, July, August are like my best. Then I start to peter out probably a little bit at the end of the year, but definitely second half of the year, I'm stronger. Maybe a lot of golfers would say that. And then I carry a good handicap into the spring, and I kind of forget how to play. But I feel like but like you, like I go out there, like yesterday, I was like, oh, yeah, all the swing thoughts from last year, well, not all of them, but most of them are working. I'm remembering how to play. I'm not complicating things. But I feel like I start to get in my own head a little bit about like, well, you finished as a 5 handicap, so you if you have any kind of rust here, and I even started talking about it a little bit on my third shot on hole 4 when I was like, oh, I got a 65-yard, pitch shot or half wedge shot here. This has given me problems in the past, and I'm rusty, and I already started to make the excuses. And then I kind of caught myself. I was like, no, I can hit the shot. I'm going to hit the shot, and I did hit the shot. So,
yep.
I feel like I can almost talk myself into being rusty, if that makes sense, at the beginning of the year, and it's something I don't want to do this year. Because why would I want to do that, Adam? I shouldn't. Want to do that.
Why talk yourself into rest? We always say that. What I find interesting about that is how sometimes I feel like I do kind of talk myself into rust, and I feel on that first tee, again, like I said, like I might miss the ball, or like I don't have this shot at this time of year. And then other times, and I felt this when we played the other day, I actually feel like I've actually cleared my mind a little bit, where it's like I had a bunch of swing thoughts, and honestly, none of those swing thoughts were doing anything for me. They were all adjustments to things that weren't working, and I was piecing together a swing. And then there are times early in the year when I come out like I did the other day, and I felt for 4 or 5 holes like I didn't hit a bad shot, and I didn't have a swing thought in my mind. All I thought about was take the club back, get through the ball. That's it. And it went great for I was 2 under through 5. Then some swing thoughts snuck in, and I wound up 1 over through 9.
So you feel sometimes at the beginning of the year like you're a Windows computer that just needed to get defragged and power cycled.
Unplug, replug. Have you tried it? It works great.
Okay, let's start with the power cycle first. Yep, I already did that. Well, why don't you do it again for me?
Do it again. Just try it again. Just stop playing for a while. It'll be fine.
Okay, so we're going to have a better start to the year then. We're saying we're not going to talk ourselves into rust. We're not going to weigh ourselves down with swing minutia.
Right.
I think these are valid, noble quests. I hope we can actually...
We are starting a little earlier than we normally start, and I think we both have an intention to continue playing earlier than we normally do. So it's beginning of February. We got out. It's been an unseasonably warm winter. Mm-hmm. Doesn't look like that's going away. How do you feel about starting a season in early February and having... Do you think you're going to... Does that make you peak in April, May, June, July? Or does that make you burn out a little sooner? How do you feel about that dynamic of this year in particular?
What I'm thinking that it's still going to follow the same curve, the same slope, but it's just going to raise the whole slope.
Okay.
So it's not going to be a steeper slope if we can get a little mathy here. I'm just going to, instead of starting the y-axis at 0, I'm starting at 2.
Right.
And so I feel great about that. I mean, we've got a couple of rounds on the books for the beginning of March.
Yep.
In Arizona, which is going to be amazing.
Cannot wait.
And I don't see why. Yeah, like you said, today it was in the 40s. I didn't have any plans. I know you had plans, but it was a little too cold. But I'm if it's 10 degrees warmer, I'm going to be playing golf. 50 degrees is fine. So Yeah, is that how do you feel about starting a little bit sooner? Because you do tend to burn out a little bit by the end of the golf season, like
Right.
into the late fall, right?
Yeah, and I don't think, and obviously there are people who don't burn out. So to those people who don't burn out, I'm not trying to say I have. Maybe they do have a higher golf drive than I do, but I think it's because I burn hot. You know, you know what I'm saying? At the beginning of the golf season, I am perfectly happy and have golfed, you know, I'll golf 10 of 11 days early in the year. At least driving range, at least working on something. I go hard for April, May, June, into July. And usually, like, the tournaments I'm targeting, whether it be a club championship, whether it be some local thing, they're usually in July, late July, early August. And so I'm kind of building to those. And then when those come and go poorly, you know, I am sort of done with golf for a while. And then I suddenly am a once-a-week golfer through August and September and October. And so there's a part of me that goes, is that going to happen earlier if I start earlier? But I don't think so. I think it's usually built in disappointment. That is why I burn out. And I don't, therefore, I think I'll be disappointed at the same time this year, no matter when I start.
Well, what happens if you actually win the club championship or win the member guest? Are you then falling off instead of a cliff of disappointment? Is it a cliff of satisfaction where you're like, I've achieved my goals, now I'm going to just sit and eat turkey legs and watch golf on
people
TV?
Feed me grapes and stuff.
Yes.
Like I don't know. I don't know, Brian. That's part of the quest here is to find out what happens when you get over that mountain, when you crest that hill.
Yes.
When you get the elephant over the Alps, what happens?
Is that a thing? The elephant over the Alps?
Well, Genghis Khan, he came from Malaysia to attack India? Or he attacked somewhere, and he came with elephants that he had to get over it may not be the Alps. A huge mountain range. He got elephants. He brought his whole army, and he brought elephants with him. That means elephants climbed and attacked.
I didn't know any of this.
Yes.
I didn't know any of this.
So Genghis Khan got elephants through a mountain range, and it's like... So if I
and that's what you're trying to do.
If I get my proverbial elephants over these mountains, what happens then? Do you take over Europe? I don't know.
We'll find out. One other thing that came out of, I just want to make sure we don't miss this. One other thing that came out of our round 2 days ago was a new expression that I really hope we carry throughout for the year.
I thought this was kind of just our thing, honestly.
When I rolled my birdie attempt on the 9th hole to maybe 4 feet, and then proceeded to say, "That's a lot of bone meat." Is that what I said?
I think he said it's too much bone meat. You got to putt for 35. You got aggressive, and you declared too much bone meat.
Which actually ended up probably screwing me over because you probably wouldn't have given it to me anyway, because I do think it was probably like 3.5 feet maybe. Yeah. But
it was not a gimme. You did run it. You did run it by, and for a 1-over. And listen, I actually had no interest. I wanted you to make that putt. I wanted us to both have the 36. But, you know, a putt for us both to shoot 36, it would be way too generous to give you that 3.5, 4-footer. But if I had wanted to give it to you, upon striking the ball, it was halfway there when you started the sentence, "too much bone meat." There's no chance I can give you the putt after you declared excess of bone meat here. And I don't know. I do think we're going to say it a few times this year, unfortunately.
I think so. But the crazy thing is it's so close to, oh, you left a lot of meat on that bone, which sounds fine. Right. It sounds normal. It doesn't sound like you're an insane person at all. And yet just changing it around to Too much bone meat.
Yeah, you're a sociopath of some kind. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, yeah, I wouldn't have taken it. And just for the record, we are not. We don't go around giving each other 4 and 5 footers.
No,
some do. We don't do that.
No, so that I would not have given you that putt. If I need to say to you straight up.
Yeah,
because there was a slight implication as we walked off that green. You were like, "Well, if you weren't going to give it to me," and so I clarified that after you declare too much bone meat, but.
Right.
But I wasn't giving you that putt either way. In any situation, I'm giving nobody that putt. It was 4 feet, I believe.
It was. The only reason I feel like you may have considered giving it to me was because it was basically midnight at that point, and it was it was kind of really hard to see.
It was dark.
But again, yeah, if it would have been like for a 43.
Yeah, for 43.
I probably would have just done the lean if it was for a 43.
Just do lean, yeah.
The fact that it was for a 36.
Yeah, no, for 36, I made you grind it out in the dark. It was dark. It was very dark. But we both had putts for 35. We both 2-putted legitimately. We kept our normal stringent gimme rules, and it's for the best. It turned out for the best.
And when we're trying to win the club championship as the sun sets, we're going to think back to February 8th when we were grinding over that bone meat.
Listen, I have nothing to say. I have nothing to say. You can't set me up with grinding over that bone meat and expect me to say anything.
So I want to talk about goals, some golf goals that we each have for the year. But before we do that, kind of maybe what sets us apart a little bit as a podcast / brand / YouTube channel / TikTok is that we're not just trying, well, maybe this doesn't set us apart, I don't know. We're not just trying to play better golf and document playing better golf. We're also trying to make entertaining content, whether that is through playing matches or through skits or sketches or whatever you want to call them. Written comedy and that sort of thing. So we're trying to do a bunch of those things. And I don't know about you, but I have a goal or maybe a couple goals about just related to sort of the brand and growth in general, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I want this to be a little bit of a behind the scenes of probably the most people are going to consume our TikToks and maybe our videos on some other platforms, and we hope people listen to this, and then if so, maybe it's a little bit of a behind the scenes of, you probably found us through TikTok, you probably found us through Instagram or YouTube, and this is a little bit of documenting our journey in trying to grow that.
Yes. Okay, so what's your biggest goal for whatever, social media, listens, downloads, follows, whatever? What is your biggest goal for Bag Chatter for 2023?
I think so. Okay, I believe that Bag Chatter fundamentally it started as a TikTok account. It started during COVID. It started out of sheer boredom. It started as trick shots. It started as just a little bit of humor and distraction from having nothing to do. And it's built into something that we want to grow. And we now have 19,500 followers on the TikTok. I believe it's a reasonable goal. I want 50,000 TikTok followers at the end of this year. We are growing this in various ways, so that's a little bit of exponential growth. I understand, but we're doing different things. We're continuing the content that has worked. We're trying to expand it. Even this month, we've put up some videos that are very different. They're longer. They're more conversation intensive. That's how I want to grow this, and I believe that will grow the followers. I want, at the end of 2023, I want 50,000 TikTok followers. Do you think that's a reasonable goal?
I do. I think it's reasonable and attainable, but definitely a stretch goal. So yeah. I love that. I mean, this whole thing is stretching for me because, you originally started this TikTok account under a different handle, under Snow or Shine Golf, stuff that you were doing on Colorado. I have sort of grabbed a hold of your Jonah Hill coattails, and I'm along for the ride. Hopefully I've brought something to the TikToks and being, a second person on screen, and bringing some other ideas and stuff like that. It does feel very much like this is your thing that you've invited me to join, so I'm very grateful for that and having a ton of fun doing it. So yeah, love it. Excited for it.
That's not true, obviously. That it's that you've had a decently successful podcast that many people have listened to. You've been doing golf content. You've been doing content for years. So your not only your contribution to this, but what you bring to the table in terms of this is what makes me take a dumb TikTok account that happened to blow up a little bit and be like, hey, maybe we make this a business, right? That's you coming into this and taking it seriously is like, hey, this is a fun side thing that means nothing. That made me go, hey, could this be my job someday? Still don't know the answer to that,
okay.
But that's your presence is what made that happen, and is the contribution that your talent and the credibility that I view you having. That's what you bring to the table in this.
This just keep going. This is amazing. Although I do feel a little bit of pressure now.
You sent that to me in an email earlier, and I was like, "This is loading it on heavy." I said, "But I'll read it."
You sold it.
I will read it. I will read this verbatim. I said.
I'm going to record that on my phone, play it for myself every morning when I wake up. The part about the talent was really good.
You notice I only said that word once, and I said,
I feel really good about myself. Part of what we're doing here in 2023, I feel like, is we're actually like also figuring out what we are and what works best and what doesn't. Which honestly, I mean, most businesses are doing all the time, but I think like maybe more than most, we're like, I want to be on YouTube. I want to post some of these podcasts on YouTube. Some of you are watching this on YouTube right now. We've done matches on YouTube. Do we want to keep doing that? Maybe. Right. We'll see. We've talked about interviewing people while we play golf. We've talked about putting more of our sketches on YouTube. So yeah. A big part of this is figuring out what works and what doesn't, and I know that like looking back 12 months from now or 10 months from now, we're going to be like, oh yeah, we thought XYZ was going to work, and that was really dumb, and we had no idea A and B were going to work, and we actually were right about C, and so anyway, all that to say, I think my goal is that I'm with you with the TikTok goal. I would like to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have other goals too. Like I want the podcast to grow. I don't know what expectations to set on that. But I feel like YouTube is something where the podcast can go on there. Again, matches can go on there, interviews can go on there, and maybe even some of our sketches can go on YouTube Shorts. A little bit more about that stuff than I do. Is 1,000 subscribers on YouTube? We have 60 right now. Is 1,000 actually attainable?
It is, I think, and it's weird to talk about because with the TikTok we're talking about 50,000 sounds like a bigger number, but we're talking about not even 2.5 times growth,
right.
with 57 to 1,000, where a ton of people are on YouTube, and we're trying to get from nothing to something. Same thing with the podcast, where it's like, so we're taking whatever that TikTok success is and trying to branch it out. And I think, even the last video we posted on there got, I think it was like 500-ish views, which, listen, nobody's... Titleist is not knocking down our door over those 500 views.
Not yet.
They should be. They should get it on the ground floor. Ground floor, Titleist.
When I hit that birdie putt on 5, I do think Scotty Cameron felt something a little bit.
Yeah, like not even an ears burning quite thing, but like a little more than that.
Yeah,
yeah.
In the gut maybe, or maybe a little bit lower for sure. But
yeah.
That was a really well rolled putt.
Yeah. There's something in his bone meat. No. Please delete that. Please. No. That's not a bone meat reference I want. We don't want Scotty Cameron's bone meat being referenced on our podcast ever. And certainly no one in my family hearing me talk about Scotty Cameron's bone meat. Yeah, so I think 1,000 followers is very reasonable. I hope if that's our goal, that's the one I bet at the end of this. I hope we meet and exceed that goal, because I think a much higher goal would be reasonable. We've only put up 4 or 5 long form videos on there, and I think if we do that consistently and put that work in and put that content out there, I think it could be much higher than that potentially in a year. Okay.
And yeah, part of this podcast is going to be not only talking about the golf we're playing, but it's going to be talking about documenting a little bit of behind the scenes of the content creation and stuff like that, which again, we find interesting. So, if you do, you can come along for the ride. All right. For my golf goals for 2023, I'm very excited to lay these out to you. Okay. I have 5 goals.
Okay.
I'm going to lay them out to you. They're sort of connected. You'll see how as I explain them. I will say the one thing I tried to not do with this goal, with any of my goals, was I wanted them all to be intentional. I didn't want to stumble into any of them. And what I mean by that is at one point I was considering oh, you know what? One of my goals, I'd love to have a dozen times where I make back-to-back birdies this year. And I think that's a great goal. I hope that happens. But nothing is going to really change for me. When I birdie a hole, it wasn't going to be ooh, well, now I really want to birdie this hole because I've made it a goal to make back-to-back birdies. So I wanted goals that I actually would either need to work towards or with some intention need to make happen. Okay. Yep. So with that in mind, my goals are based off of 5 numbers: 100, 50, 25, 10, and 5.
Okay. I don't know where we're going with this, so that this excites me.
All right, so here are those 5 goals. Goal number 1, I want to play 100 rounds in 2023.
I love that goal, first of all. Oh. I feel like I always feel like I'm playing slightly more than I am. So setting a concrete goal of 100 rounds, I'm totally on board with.
I used to track this. I think in 2017, 2018, I ended up in the 90s, right around 90. 2019, it was a little bit fewer. Same thing with 2020. The last couple of years, I've probably been in the 60s or 70s. But I am going to. I usually play 18 holes and not 9, but I will include 9 holes and 18 in there. But I want 100 rounds in 2023. So that is going to take some intention. That is going to take some days where I'm kind of don't really feel like golfing today, or the weather's not perfect or whatever. I'm going to have to go out and make it happen. So that's goal number 1. Goal number 2. I want 50 of my 9-hole rounds. Let me say that again. I want 50 rounds in the 30s. And that means if I go out and play 9, that's one 9. If I play 18, then it's a front 9 and a back 9. I want to be.
So theoretically, you'd have 200 9-hole rounds. If you succeed in your first goal, you're going to have 200 9-hole rounds.
Well, maybe more if I play 75 18 rounds, then that's 150 9s, and then if I do an additional 25 9-holders. Then that's 175. So yeah, the number of how many 9s I play is going to be somewhere around 175, let's say. And I would like 50 of those to be in the 30s. I'm a 5 handicap. I do hope to get that number down this year. If I can go out and put up something in the 30s, that's a pretty good 9 for me. And the intentionality with this one is that if I go out someday and put up a 44 and I'm feeling really terrible at the turn, it can be well, you know what? Let me see if I can shoot 39 or better on the back here and, maybe care a little bit more about the score I post, even knowing it's not going to affect the handicap, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. Those 9-hole rounds and getting them in when you can't, you tend to think of things in terms of, is today the day I'm going to shoot my career best or whatever it is. And so I like just getting out there no matter the circumstances is kind of what that says to me.
Love it. Goal number 3, 25 practice sessions this year. 25 practice sessions. Now, that is usually just going to mean going to the range / putting. But if I do take any lessons this year, that'll be in there as well. But I think 2022, I probably practiced the least that I have in the last 5 years. It didn't feel like it hurt me because I finished at a 5.0, which was my lowest handicap ever. But maybe that could have been a 4.0 if I would have practiced more. I don't know. I enjoy practicing.
Yep.
I don't always feel motivated to do it, but every time I do it, I enjoy it. So that's one of my goals this year.
That's a great goal. I've got one very similar. We'll get to that. I'm not going to spoil it because it's gold and it's better than your practice goal for sure. No, that's not true. That's not true. I want to hear. Okay, next goal.
All right, 2 goals left. Number 10. I want to play golf in 10 places outside of Pennsylvania this year.
I like that.
I'm already off to a good start. I played in Florida with you in January.
Yep.
I played a round last week in Mexico.
We're looking at a second country there. That's next level. But continue.
Yes. That's why I didn't say state. I was very
outside of Pennsylvania.
Very intentional with my language. And then in March, I'm going to be playing a couple of rounds with you in Arizona, and then I'll be playing a couple of rounds in California a few days later on a Chasing Scratch trip.
Yep.
So come middle of March, I'm going to have 4 of those 10. There's a few other ones that I can fill in the gap. Maybe I'll play with my dad up in Massachusetts. Maybe I'll get to a local course in Delaware and Maryland. But at some point, I'm going to probably have to figure out a way to get a few more in. So
I know
that's my goal.
I know offhand. I'm going to New Hampshire at some point this summer. You're more than welcome to come to New Hampshire and play golf with me in New Hampshire. I'm probably headed down to the Pinehurst area for the Junior World Championships for the 2nd straight year, and we'll be playing in North Carolina. So we can get us to 10 very quickly.
That's awesome. I do want to clarify, you're not actually playing in the Junior World Championships.
I am, actually. Thank you for asking. I'm playing in the 12-year-old...
Do you shave the beard before? Or?
Yeah, obviously. I'm playing in the 12-year-old girls division. And I think I'm going to do pretty well, honestly.
Yeah.
They're more talented than me, but from the tees we're playing, I think I'm going to perform well.
You can just overpower those girls like Bryson at Winged Foot. Just bomb and gouge.
It's a par 58 for me. And that's nice. I would finish in 3rd. I think I'd finish in 3rd. I would top 10. I would definitely top 10 in the 12-year-old girls division.
I think
I saw them play last year.
Statement.
They are good.
Yeah.
I walked Pine Needles with my cousin Maddie Savory last year, and she played great. She shot 76, I believe. Watched a girl shoot a casual 69. Casual 69. It was incredible. The juniors who play down there are unbelievable. I can't wait to watch them this year. Can't wait to play down there again. Didn't even mean to talk about this, but wow. There are some really good juniors out there, in case you're not aware of it.
Oh, no. I'm aware. And I've seen Maddie swing on video, and it's amazing. I would like to buy some of her moves if they were for sale, but they're not. It's not that I'm aware of.
Yep.
All right, so 100 rounds, 59s that are in the 30s, 25 practice sessions, 10 places outside of PA, 2 turtle doves, and my number 5 is the number 5, and that is I want to do 5 36-hole days in 2023.
Yeah.
This seems like a fantastic idea on February 10th or February 11th, whatever day it is. But I feel like this might be the toughest one for me to actually actually do. I don't know. I'm usually up for 36, but I guess in the morning I'm up for 36. Sometimes after 18, I am no longer up for 36.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking if I make this a goal, then I'm going to do it. I have to do it.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable, actually. I've played, so I grew up Mojalaki Golf Course in Franklin, New Hampshire was where I learned to play golf. And during the summer, my parents got me, every year for my birthday, I got a $200 junior membership to Mojalaki Golf Course. It's a 9-hole golf course. They eventually put on 9 more that they closed like 2 years later. I would just loop this course. They'd drop me off in the morning. I was like 11 years old. They'd drop me off at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I would play till dark. And I'd often play 45, 54 holes just walking this thing over and over and over again. And that's where I learned to golf. And now, did we play 36 once last year? I played 27 a bunch of times last year.
Yeah.
36, that extra 9, actually completing 2 18-hole rounds. I'm not sure I did it once last year. And it's something that's missing from my golf life.
Okay. So maybe you'll join me on this quest.
Oh, no, if you do it, I'm doing it. I'm not letting you play 36 alone 5 times. That's definitely not happening.
Okay. So those are my golf goals. You'll notice I didn't mention anything about 18-hole scores. I didn't mention anything about my handicap.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if that's me being a coward or if it's me trying to focus on the right things. I don't know. What do you think? Give me some honesty here.
I think you and I are different animals when it comes to golf. And so we're very similar. We're very similar. I think we have similar personalities. We have similar loves of golf. But when it comes to golf, you and I function in completely different ways. I always know where I know where I am to par at all times. Couldn't help it if I tried. I have tried to not keep track of it, but I can't help it. You have this incredible ability, like Rain Man, to just to just shut it out entirely. And you could par the first 2 holes, and I say, hey, how are you playing? And you're like, I don't know, I'm not keeping track. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense, Brian. It's so easy to keep track in your head, especially once you get to a 5 handicap, say, that it's remarkable to me, your ability to just shut out reality and not keep track of your score. But I'm also impressed by it, and it seems to work for you. So you not having 18-hole score goals, not having handicap goals, that makes sense for your personality. But my goals are going to be a little different, I will say that.
Yeah, so let me hear them.